I never thought about it that way because there's a lot of people, including myself, that tend to be like a lot more loose when they talk, even professionally. So they kind of can circumvent the mistakes by kind of having the little openness and being more dynamic with their talk. But I would assume that, especially when you're not in the super mega level of fluency and you're still learning it can be very hard to convey the seriousness. That's a very interesting point. I did not absolutely think of that at all. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to tell also that it depends on the company. Let's say I was already in a company, yeah, in an international company, for example, where the language is English and there are so many people from everywhere in the world. So it's way more relaxed because it's so many people, probably so many people are mispronouncing things.
Yeah.
Then
Also
it's
depends
more
on the role.
relaxed.
Also depends on the role. Like if you're someone that is like a consultant, you have to get things right because you have to communicate with external people. But if you're like an engineer in the inside, people kind of start to get your talking, and it's just like it's a great way for you to be like more, I guess, loose with your talking and kind of using that as a learning opportunity. So there's definitely a lot of other different types of pressure all over the workplace. The workplace is not like a completely plateau or flat.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. So like you've been using it like you've managed to find jobs because of your languages. But do you think the work itself can be a powerful driver of language learning?
The work itself, I would say definitely. At least it was in my case. The first time I learned a foreign language, I'd say English, it was because of professional opportunities, let's say. And also some people, maybe they want to try a new job and then maybe some language is required. I think it definitely is a driver.
Yeah.
So even though you already have the job, you keep on or want to keep on learning and you don't stop because you got the job.
Yeah. And also
Exactly.
there's some places where like people usually think that like, for example, let's say, oh, I know that in this country they don't really talk to coworkers, so I'm just gonna stay on my corner, do my job and leave. And everybody's like, oh, I don't need this. I don't need to learn the language because I'm not gonna talk to my coworkers anyways. No, you will. No, you will. You will. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just because they're a little bit colder than where you're from does not mean that there's no communication. There's plenty of communication. And actually, the times where you're going to talk to somebody are even more important to know the language well. So it's definitely a great way for people to learn languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think so.
Sorry, I thought you wanted to add something.
Yeah.
Did being multilingual actually make the transition from Brazil to Germany easier, or did it bring you into new challenges?
It made it easier, of course, because let's say if I only spoke Portuguese, I would arrive in Germany. For me to be able to have friends, I would need to find someone that speak Portuguese. But I could speak also English and Spanish, so it's way easier. With English, we can communicate with, well, in German, I could communicate with almost everyone. And with Spanish, I could have many Spanish-speaking friends. And when we move to a new country, of course, in the beginning it's a bit difficult. You have no friends, you don't know anyone. And if you can speak different languages, at least you have a broader range of people to whom you can socialize and communicate.
Yeah, and there are also some parts on the more bureaucratical side that also can help. Sometimes you know some languages and you receive like a ticket or like a sort of letter from the government that maybe you don't understand fully, but at least with some tools or like a little bit of understanding how sentences are structured or the way that they're framed can allow you to understand better what's going on. So I feel like not only is the social aspect of the one that helps, but also on the actual objective starting to live there side, it's also very important that knowing languages can really help. So like, do you think that now that you're in German and now you've learned Germany, that's fantastic, but do you think it was okay learning German in Germany, or maybe you would have preferred to have it already studied in Brazil already? Not sure.
Yeah, it was clear. For me, it didn't make a difference actually. In Germany, I could communicate with people in English, so I had no problem during the beginning. It was pretty fine with English. And then I could just learn German slowly at home until I could speak it.
So you never felt like that like pressured into learning German as fast as possible, or like maybe if you were like back in Brazil learning Germany would be a lot more easy, or like you don't have to think about it too much, or the implications of living there. Because I'm thinking that's what when I ask this question is more like, do you like when I was in France and I was learning French, I was always like, oh my god, I have to get super fast, super quick, otherwise I'm gonna starve and be under the bridge, starving because I cannot do it. But if I were like back in school in Rome, I could take the time to actually learn the language first and then be prepared to come there. And maybe that thought never happened, I would assume.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been to France before.
That's the great French expert.
Yes, I think the difference is that the German people, they usually learn English at school and they speak English very well. So I never had problems with communication using English in Germany. Also going to the offices, let's say the state offices, everything could be done in English.
Pretty nice.
Maybe for everybody who's listening and thinking now, oh, I want to go to Germany too with my English. This is more for big cities, actually.
Of course.
So if you ever like come here and get a job in a smaller town, or do a social year or pair or whatever, you probably need to study German before.
Yeah.
Great.
I think it like any place has to have you cannot survive completely on English alone. It's just like at this right now our sample base is like Munich and Berlin. So unfortunately it's not the most like a comprehensive German only experience. So
yeah, it's true. I was always in Munich and also working in a company with so many international people. So it was okay in this environment.
Yeah, but German is also extremely still very useful. Don't get me wrong. For people that are interested in learning German, you again learn German. If you're interested in going to Germany, you want to learn German. Maybe it's just better for everybody. But now let's talk a little bit. We're coming a little bit to the end of this program, but I do have some questions regarding now coming back to the professionals learning languages. What's like one mistake that you see like busy learners like yourself make that pulls them back?
What I've seen is many people, they are quite busy, right? Working the whole week. And then they take the Saturday to do an English course. And then they do maybe Saturday in the morning. I think it would be better to learn a bit every day and do all of this on Saturday. Let's say if they do like half an hour a day, it's better than doing 3 hours and a half on a Saturday.
Yeah, I do think it's
Okay.
Yeah,
That's important to do.
I completely agree that people should take the time to do constant, maybe 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day, but like continuously do language learning and not focus their entire learning language into like the day that they have free time. I'm making this mistake as we speak right now with my Japanese lessons, because I'm talking to Japanese natives as well, but for a while I was also doing lessons every Sunday morning, because in Germany the Sundays are definitely a good time to do sort of hobbies like that. But it does make it feel like you're remembering things for an entire day, and then on Monday you're completely distracted by something else and you don't remember. So that constant 30 minutes, 1 hour a day, it has so many more applications than continuously putting this into one big session on one day.
Yeah, totally. I also think a good comparison is that many people think learning language is like ingesting new knowledge or new information, but when actually it's more similar to physical exercise, like a sport. That's something that you have to do regularly and never stop doing.